Hey, mathematicians!
That's me!
That is you. Guess what? We're going to today start with a story. I love this story. A big reason why I love this story is because it connects with my ducks. I just got rid of our ducks over the weekend. All 9 went to a really nice family. This story, I think we're going to start today. Before we do our math lesson, you're going to see that connection in just a bit. This book is titled, That Is Not a Good Idea by Mo Willems. Ooh. What luck! Dinner. Excuse me, would you care to go for a stroll? Sure.
That's not a good idea.
Would you care to continue our walk into the deep, dark woods? Sounds fun.
That is really not a good idea.
Would you care to visit my nearby kitchen? I would love to.
That is really not a good idea.
Would you care to boil some water for some soup? Certainly, I do love soup.
That is really not a good idea.
Would you care to look at my soup? A key ingredient is missing.
That is really not a good idea.
Oh, a key ingredient is missing. You!
Well, we did try to warn him.
The end. More soup, children? Do you know what really is a good idea? A good idea for us is to think about how we are going to end our second grade school year of math as mathematicians.
That's me!
That is you. Boys and girls, it's pretty much our last lesson together before the summer starts. And right now, friends, the biggest thing I want you to understand is that we are going to be closing out Unit 7. Unit 7 is all about getting us thinking about fractions, looking at equal parts of squares and rectangles and circles. So you can have fun with that even over the summer with your family. Think about fractions. Think about equal parts. Look at it in a real situation. In your end of the year, end of this unit assessment, they're going to ask you about arrays. Now we can see that there's an array here. I did my best to kind of make the same one that's in your assessment. In this array, if you've noticed, can you see how many are across? And can you see the rows? Can you see the columns? Do you know the equations for this array? So if I look at this, I see 3. I see another 3. I know you're saying that I see a 3. And I see another 3. When I look at my columns, I see a 4. I see another 4. And another 4. If I'm looking at the addition equations, I would be seeing 4 plus 4 plus 4. But that would be the same as the addition for this right here, where I see 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. We know that this equals the same as this. This, friends, is what we start thinking about when we are thinking about multiplication. And that's kind of like a connection I'm going to make with you at the end of our video. So right now, this is our array. We want to be knowing and understanding this grouping and our addition statements for them so we can make that connection later with multiplication. Tommy is going to come on over here and he's going to have you look at problem number 8. And problem number 8 is going to be on your Unit 7 review test. And number 8 is going to be asking you to think about a comparison problem. And let's remember, when we're talking about comparison problems, we're right away thinking about greater, fewer, more, less, longer, shorter. Let's look at number 8. On page 397, it says Jennifer has 66 inches of red yarn. She has 14 more inches of blue yarn than the red yarn. How many inches of blue yarn does Jennifer have? Remember, we're looking at the situation. In the minute someone is trying to tell us that we are looking at that one yarn has like more, I automatically know that I'm going to be comparing the red and the blue. And so I get my comparison bars together. It wouldn't matter if I'm talking about inches or puppies, cats or Pop-Tarts. Right now we're talking about inches. And they're saying that Jennifer has 66 inches of red yarn. But she has 14 more of blue yarn. We know that the circle is always going to be the more or the fewer. So for this problem, we know that the 14 more inches, and I'll even put that label there, it's going to go in our circle. We know she has 66 red. Red is here because she has 14 inches more of the blue. You know what to do now to find out what the blue is, but finding this situation to get us an understanding of what we're looking for and how to look for it is going to be really helpful for you in those situation problems where you're like thinking, am I going to add on? Am I comparing? In this case, friends, we're going to find out what blue is, because blue is 14 inches more. I bet you're probably right now yelling out the answers, and that's quite all right. Friends, the next one is the same thing. Look at number 11. Again, it's not giving you exactly what to do, so you got to think about the situation. Number 11 says, Devon uses gold ribbon to make a border. Remember, a border is what goes around. It's the perimeter. It's the distance around. And he's making a border around a square picture. Each side of the pictures is 14 centimeters long. How many centimeters of gold ribbon does Devon need? Let's remember, friends, if he's making something that is a square, we know that a square is a special type of rectangle. Squares have equal sides. Rectangles do not. Remember, rectangles have two sides that are similar and two sides that are similar. So a rectangle is different than a square. But a square is a type of rectangle. It has 4 right angles, but all of its sides are equal. So if they're saying that it's a square and that one side is 14 centimeters, we know that would mean that all of the sides are 14 centimeters. And we would then be right, finding the distance around. That would be the perimeter. Now, friends, what I'm going to have us shift to right now is to have us think about what's going to happen over the summer. This week, you're going to be finishing up Unit 7, and then you're going to be thinking about your summer. And the biggest thing you can do this summer is to continue working on knowing your addition and subtraction facts. You need to be fluent within 20. When you're fluent within 20, it makes you fluent within 1,000. That's what we have worked on all second grade. So I know that many of you are at home working very hard at your story problems and using that number knowledge to help you with the word problems. This summer, I'd say continue with that. This summer, work on telling time. Work on counting by fives. When you're counting by fives, you're preparing yourself for multiplication. Multiplication is skip counting. So friends, let's think about what you could do this summer that would prepare you for multiplication. You will start third grade right away with multiplication. So what could you do? One of the things, and Tommy can come closer, is to make these wonderful skip strips. Basically, I have strips that count by twos. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. You're like, Mrs. Seitz, I can count by twos. Great. Then you're going to want to make a strip that helps you count by threes. You're going to want a strip that helps you count by fours. These are strips that you can make at home to help you practice your multiplication. Because when we start to understand what multiplication is multiplication is equal groups. We are skipping. So for example, we have 6, our set of 6. If I have 6 times 2, I could also say 2 times 6, which is 2 groups of 6. 2 groups of 6 is 12. 3 groups of 6 is 18. You're going to start to see that when you start to skip count, you'll start to see that relationship. So let's look at our strip of 7. And then let's look at Mrs. Seitz's example up here. Right now we have 7 times 2. That's the same thing as 2 times 7. Friends, I want us to understand why we talk about arrays and why we even need to have these physical pictures right here as well. I have 7 groups of 2. Here are my 7 groups of 2. Here is my array that shows 7 rows of 2. Here is 2 groups of 7. Here are my 2 groups of 7. Here is my row of 7 and my other row of 7. No matter what, all of this is showing me the same answer. If I look on my strip, I see 2 groups of 7 is, that's right, it's 14. If I had 3 groups of 7, I'd have 21. When I learn to skip count, that's going to help make me a really good connection with multiplication. These strips are things that Mrs. Seitz just simply has. You can make these at home. You can practice with them at home. I mean, I go all the way on up. And it's getting you to understand if you're going to start skip counting by 8, by 9, that will prepare you for multiplication and give you that good number sense you need. Math is something, friends, that you're going to see all day, every day. This summer, spend time looking and finding arrays. This summer, challenge yourself to tell the time. This summer, take your mother or your father and say, give me a bunch of change. Add up your money. Practice adding up with nickels and dimes and quarters and pennies. Take time to do that. Make math something you do every day, little things you do every day, so you can make those natural connections. Math is amazing. It's something that we don't actually have to necessarily just go to school for, which is really important because it helps us prepare. But even when we're not at school, we can still be a mathematician and use our knowledge to make those connections. I know that you guys are ready for 3rd grade math. You're going to do great. We've had a fantastic 2nd grade year. You've been math monsters. Math monster!
Arr!
Math monster! Math monster! You guys, I am going to miss you. I want you to make good choices. Make mathematical choices even too. Mathematician!
That's me.
That is you. See you later.